Sister Agnes Sasagawa was a Japanese Roman Catholic nun who attracted international attention for her Marian apparitions in the 1970s in the city of Usa-Ita, Japan. According to Sister Sasagawa, the Virgin Mary appeared to her and conveyed messages through a statue of Mary in the local convent. Allegedly, the statue had miraculously wept on certain occasions. These messages, which began in the 1900s, included warnings and alerts concerning the Church and the world. Let us discover everything she predicted for the coming months. If you believe in God, subscribe to the channel now. Sister Agnes Katsuko Sasagawa, a name synonymous with resilience and faith, had a journey as inspiring as it was miraculous. She was born in Japan on the 28th of May in the year 1931. Sister Sasagawa's life was not easy from the start, as her premature birth marked the beginning of a life filled with health challenges, despite her fragile constitution. Even from childhood, her spirit was never broken. At the age of 19, her life changed drastically when a medical error during an appendectomy left her with paralysis of the central nervous system. This condition immobilized her for 16 years, during which she spent time in several hospitals and underwent numerous surgical procedures. However, Sister Sasagawa's life was destined to change profoundly. While at a clinic in Miyoko, Niigata, she met a nurse named Miss Duabiu, whose deep Catholic faith and devoted care not only helped improve Sister Sasagawa's health, but also introduced her to the Christian faith. This encounter was the spark that ignited her spiritual path, endowing her with new faith and determination. Determined to dedicate her life to God, and despite early concerns regarding her health, her parents eventually supported her decision, and she joined the Congregation of the Immaculate Heart of Mary in Nagasaki in the year 1969. Her spiritual journey took a significant turn when she joined the Servants of the Most Holy Sacrament in the same year, which allowed her to live a consecrated life while continuing to actively participate in society. Yet her challenges were not over. At the beginning of the year 1973, Sister Sasagawa faced a serious problem. She suddenly lost her hearing. The diagnosis was discouraging, a progressive hearing loss with little hope of recovery. Determined to overcome this difficulty, she underwent intensive lip-reading training in an effort to regain her ability to communicate. Then, in the year 1974, something extraordinary occurred. During a morning Eucharistic adoration, an angel appeared to Sister Sasagawa with a message that would change the course of her life. The angel predicted that her hearing would be temporarily restored between the months of August and October of that year, and just as foretold, her hearing was miraculously restored, although only for 5 months. The next major event took place in the year 1982 during the Feast of the Annunciation, an important celebration for her community. The angel brought a new message, assuring that her hearing would be completely restored through the intercession of the Virgin Mary. Once again, the prediction was fulfilled, adding another miraculous chapter to her life. These extraordinary events were not limited only to Sister Sasagawa. In the year 1983, her story intertwined with that of a Korean woman, Miss Teresa Chun, who was in a vegetative state due to terminal cancer. When some Korean pilgrims visited the Emma convent where Sister Sasagawa resided, a miracle was attributed to Our Lady of Akita, leading to the complete recovery of Miss Chun, whose auditory healing was already considered extraordinary. Prepare to learn about other miracles experienced by Sister Sasagawa. Her life was a succession of supernatural events that not only shaped her faith, but also left the entire world astonished. On the 12th of June in the year 1973, Sister Sasagawa entered the chapel and was immediately greeted by a mysterious light emanating from the tabernacle. This was no ordinary visit. That light was a divine sign, a prelude to the extraordinary events that were about to unfold in the following days. Up until the 14th of June, during a prayer session before the Most Holy Sacrament, the light reappeared, this time with a reddish hue. According to Father Ido, these lights were clear signs of the imminent visitation of the Virgin Mary. But the divine encounters did not end there. On the eve of the Feast of the Sacred Heart, on the 28th of June in the year 1973, something truly impressive occurred. As Sister Sasagawa and her companions meditated in silence, a cloud of angels appeared around the altar. The next day, during the recitation of the rosary, a mysterious figure materialized to her right. It was her guardian angel, who not only graced her with his presence, but also transmitted prayers akin to those taught to the three shepherd children of Fatima in the year 1917. The messages from the angel were profound and contained prophecies that Sister Sasagawa would carry with her. The transmitted prayers were not ordinary, but linked her experiences to those of other seers throughout history. The 28th of June reserved even more events for Sister Sasagawa. During the same meditation session in which the angels appeared, she felt a sharp pain in her palm and left arm. Upon checking, she discovered a cross-shaped mark that was bleeding profusely. This stigmata-like manifestation was also reflected in the statue of the Virgin Mary in the chapel, which began to bleed in a similar manner. As if these events were not enough, on the 3rd of August in the year 1973, Sister Sasagawa was awakened at midnight by her guardian angel, who urgently asked her to rise. It was not merely an invitation to stand up, but a spiritual warning signaling preparations for new trials. The next day, she felt a dark presence physically assaulting her as she prepared to enter the chapel, an encounter she interpreted as an attack by evil. The supernatural phenomena surrounding Sister Sasagawa continued to develop dramatically. On the 29th of September in the year 1973, during the evening prayers, something astonishing occurred. The same statue of the Virgin Mary, which had previously bled, began to sweat profusely, emitting a celestial fragrance. This perspiration was not ordinary. It was an oily, perfumed secretion that left all the witnesses perplexed. On the 4th of January in the year 1975, the wooden statue of the Virgin Mary, which had previously bled and sweated, began to shed real tears. This was not a fleeting phenomenon, but an event documented scientifically, with the tears analyzed and confirmed to be human. On the 15th of October in the year 1919, the miraculous touch of Our Lady of Akita extended beyond Japan and reached a Korean woman, Miss Teresa Chun, who was in a vegetative state due to a terminal brain cancer. Her recovery, which occurred following the intercession at Sister Sasagawa's convent, was nothing short of a medically documented miracle, confirmed by radiographs taken before and after the event. The encounter Sister Sasagawa had with the Virgin Mary in the year 1973, which took place amidst signs and wonders, included 3 crucial messages from the Virgin. These messages not only deepened her faith, but also had a significant impact on the global Catholic community. Let us analyze the detailed chronology and the content of these messages, delivered in a small chapel in Akita, Japan, under extraordinary circumstances. The setting, a modest chapel in a convent where the ordinary intertwined with the divine, provided an evocative backdrop for the extraordinary events experienced by Sister Sasagawa and her fellow nuns. It all began on an apparently ordinary day, the 6th of July in the year 1973, when Sister Sasagawa, while praying in the chapel, sensed a change in the atmosphere. The statue of the Virgin Mary, carved from a single block of wood from the Japanese kazura tree, began to emit an intense light. This supernatural radiance was not merely a visual spectacle. It announced the beginning of a series of profound divine communications. During that first encounter, the Virgin Mary recognized the stigmata and the hearing loss of Sister Sasagawa, which she interpreted as physical signs of a spiritual calling. The message was clear and focused on restoration. Sister Sasagawa was instructed to recite the prayer of the servants of the Most Holy Sacrament, not only as a means to promote her own healing, but also to become a channel of salvation for the world through the Eucharist. That moment was not solely about Sister Sasagawa's personal struggles, but represented an invitation to action, to a deeper spiritual commitment, and to intercession for the Church and its leaders. Immediately after the mysterious events in Akita unfolded, the impressive experiences of the nun and the miraculous phenomena around the statue of the Virgin Mary prompted local authorities to intervene. This was not an ordinary investigation, but a complex, prolonged process lasting decades that delved deep into the heart of the supernatural claims that had shaken the local community and captured worldwide attention. The inquiry began in the year 1975 when Bishop John Shogjiro Ito of Niigata, intrigued and perhaps somewhat perplexed by reports from the convent, sought advice from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, the Vatican body responsible for promoting and safeguarding doctrine. As the supernatural phenomena stirred up commotion beyond the quiet town of Eta, arousing both fervor and skepticism throughout the world, the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, applying newly established norms for the examination of alleged apparitions, advised Bishop Ito to assume initial responsibility for the investigation as the local bishop. In the year 1976, an investigative commission was established. However, this commission failed to conclusively determine the supernatural nature of the events, leaving more questions than answers. Bishop Ito, undeterred and supported by the new directives of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, as well as by the persistence of the mysterious events, sought a more in-depth investigation. In the year 1981, the situation had developed with more convincing evidence supporting the alleged supernatural manifestations, prompting Bishop Ito to compile a complete dossier containing the new facts. Yet the response from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith was lukewarm. The events were deemed unfavorable, and they refused to initiate a new examination. Bishop Ito, however, did not give up. In the year 1982, he argued that the previous response from the congregation might have been based on misunderstandings, and in the year 1983, he presented his case in person before Vatican officials. His perseverance led to a significant development in the year 1984, when, after nearly 8 years of meticulous examination and reflection, Bishop Ito issued a statement recognizing the supernatural nature of the events related to the convent statue and authorizing the veneration of Our Lady of Akita within his diocese. It is important to note that this was a private revelation and did not carry the same weight as a public revelation, which is essential for salvation. Bishop Ito clarified that his declaration was provisional and pending a final judgment by the Holy Synod, thereby leaving room for future investigations by higher authorities. Both out of respect for the hierarchical structure of the Church and his commitment to truth, the case underwent further development in the month of June in the year 2018 year 1988, when Bishop Ito, then retired, met Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, who was at that time prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. Cardinal Ratzinger gave his verbal approval to Ito's letter from the year 1984, which constituted a discreet yet supportive endorsement, without issuing a formal judgment on the credibility of the events, thus maintaining the Vatican's cautious stance. Despite the initial approval of the Akita apparitions by the local diocese, the issue continued to generate debate and division within the Catholic Church. In the year 1990, a significant development occurred. Archbishop Peter Seki Shirayanagi of Tokyo, who also presided over the Japanese Episcopal Conference, took a public stance on the matter. In an interview with an Italian newspaper, Archbishop Shirayanagi expressed his skepticism regarding the authenticity of the Akita events, suggesting that they should no longer be taken seriously. This declaration marked a perceptible shift in the Japanese Church's attitude toward the apparitions, revealing a growing sense of uncertainty and skepticism among some of its most influential leaders. Officially validating an apparition is not solely a matter of faith, it also requires careful theological and doctrinal consideration. The divergence of opinions among church leaders demonstrated the variety of interpretations these events could evoke, depending on theological perspectives and the evidence presented. Despite numerous investigations and theological debates, the Vatican never reached a definitive conclusion regarding the Akita events, leaving the matter without a clear verdict. However, there is a significant statement issued by Bishop John Shogjiro Ito, who led the diocese where the events occurred. Bishop Ito officially approved the apparitions, a decision of great importance within the ecclesiastical hierarchy, as recognition by a diocesan bishop represents a fundamental step in legitimizing the events as worthy of belief. Although this approval does not constitute a confirmation for the entire Catholic Church, it is important to emphasize that this approval has never been revoked by any of his successors or by the Holy Synod, remaining valid to this day. In accordance with canon law, this approval officially maintains the recognition of the Akita apparitions in the Diocese of Niigata, thereby providing ecclesiastical support for the faithful in that region to incorporate the messages of Akita into their faith. The first message from the Virgin emphasized the importance of reciting the Rosary and performing acts of reparation, spiritual tools deemed powerful enough to mitigate the sins of the world. The second message, transmitted on the 3rd of August, intensified the tone of urgency. The Virgin Mary expressed deep sorrow for the sins of humanity, which, according to her, grieved the Lord, and she spoke of a desire for souls to console Christ and appease the wrath of the Heavenly Father. This message was not merely a call, but a stern warning. If humanity did not repent, a severe punishment would befall the world, affecting both the righteous and the unrighteous. Sister Sasagawa was tasked with transmitting these warnings to her superior, underscoring the gravity of the situation. The Virgin also revealed the infiltration of evil within the Church, prefiguring internal conflicts and a crisis of faith that would shake the very foundations of the institution. On the 13th of October, on the anniversary of the miracle of the sun at Fatima, the Virgin Mary delivered her final message to Sister Sasagawa. This message was perhaps the most apocalyptic, as it foretold fire falling from the sky and a punishment greater than the universal deluge. The Virgin described a desolate world after the chastisement, where the living would envy the dead. Yet within this revelation there was also a promise and a solution. The Rosary and the sign left by Christ were presented as the only means to endure the imminent judgments. The insistence on the Rosary was reiterated, emphasizing its importance in interceding for the Pope, the bishops, and the priests. Just when it seemed that everything had been revealed, more than 4 decades after the initial apparitions that had shaken the spiritual landscape of Akita, Sister Sasagawa once again captured worldwide attention in the year 2019. This humble nun, who had lived quietly after her past experiences, received a new message that seemed to resonate with the ongoing global crisis and the spiritual needs of our time. On a quiet October morning, a familiar divine presence visited Sister Sasagawa once more. Her guardian angel, a messenger who had spoken to her in the past, returned with a directive echoing the urgent tone of previous encounters. The angel's message was simple yet profound. Cover yourself in ashes and recite a reparation rosary every day. Become like a child. Please offer sacrifices every day. This message, transmitted for the first time via a Catholic radio station in Massachusetts, had an enormous impact on the Catholic community and beyond, evoking the enduring call to repentance and humility. The expression, "cover yourself in ashes," harks back to ancient biblical traditions of penance and renewal, a gesture symbolizing mourning for sins and an appeal for mercy. The invitation to become like a child echoes Christ's own words regarding the purity of heart and humility necessary to enter the kingdom of heaven. The instruction to recite a reparation, Rosary daily, continues the essential line of Sister Sasagawa's message on the importance of intercessory prayer, emphasizing its role in the complex spiritual battle of the modern world. This daily practice of the Rosary is not merely a ritual, but a weapon in the spiritual arsenal against the evils afflicting contemporary society, such as wars, diseases, and moral decay. This revelation from the year 2019 can be contextualized in light of recent global events. The conflict in Ukraine, crises in the Middle East, and the unexpected worldwide pandemic are just a few examples. Moreover, natural disasters, which seem to have become increasingly frequent and intense, also require a spiritual response. Sister Sasagawa's message exhorts the faithful to look beyond the material and consider the spiritual implications of these crises. The call for daily sacrifices suggests that each individual has a role in the collective healing of the world through personal acts of charity and penance. The reaction to this new message has been varied, much like the reception of the original Akita messages. While some interpret it as a prophetic warning, others see it as a simple reminder of fundamental Christian duties. On the 6th of July in the year 2024, 50 years were marked since the first Akita apparitions that had alarmed the world with messages of penance and prayer. However, Sister Sasagawa's prediction for the coming months truly shook the world. She revealed what would occur if we did not follow the instructions given to her by the Virgin Mary. It is not every day that a nun in a quiet Japanese convent shakes the global community. Yet that is precisely what happened when Sister Sasagawa, already a venerable figure at the age of 93, delivered a new message that resonated across several continents. The message she revealed was delivered during a nocturnal visitation on the eve of the 50th anniversary of Akita. The celestial visitor was none other than her guardian angel, who had in the past already transmitted divine messages to her. Sister Sasagawa's prediction for the coming months did not merely suggest spiritual awakenings or minor adjustments in daily devotion, but represented a revelation of considerable impact, a spiritual drama unfolding in real time. She described visions of natural calamities, social upheavals, and spiritual crises, events which, according to her, would surpass the challenges of any previous era if humanity failed to pay attention. Do you believe that the foretold events will materialize exactly as she described, leaving skeptics in doubt? Or will humanity respond with prayer and penance, thereby rewriting the final outcome in the coming months?